Okay. So arrive on the mat and just begin to soften your eyes. And I like quite quickly actually to close them, but you can keep your eyes open as well if you want, especially for visual cue, because for prenatal yoga or for just, you know, the pregnancy, it's quite important that we find ways to still have our breath full, because we just, you know, look at this belly, right, takes up quite some space, so we have less room to breathe. The lungs are constricted, so we want to find ways to expand the breath to the side, to the back body. So to make that easier, right, because it's not so easy to access those places and kind of consciously send the breath into the back if you've never really done that before. So you take your hands, your thumbs go to the back of your rib cage, and the hands go like the fingers around the rib cage, framing the ribs, right? So, and you feel the thumbs in the back of your rib cage. Elbows obviously go out to the side. And then I just want you to take a deep inhale through the nose and to consciously send that inhale into your thumbs, right? So that means you're breathing into your back. And you exhale through the nose. And you inhale. Spread your ribcage wide. Breathe into your thumbs and exhale. Now continue with that breathing and already begin to lengthen your breath. So if you want to just count for yourself, you can count, inhale 1, 2, 3, little pause, and then exhale 3, 2, 1, little pause at the end. And if you feel like I have actually more capacity, 4 count breath, right, 6 count breath, you choose. But for today, we're choosing to have the inhales as long as the exhales in this breathing exercise, and breathing, focusing the breath into the back of the rib cage. Inhaling into your thumbs and exhaling. Everything kind of pulls back toward the center, toward the spine. Good. And then from here, you take the hands, take them to the side of your ribs. You're also going to feel the side of your boobs, basically, right? If this is a little uncomfortable here, you can cross your hands and can just feel the sides of your rib cage that way, yeah? And then we're going to do the same thing. So you're going to take a deep inhale. Consciously into your hands, into your side body, and exhale. Feel how the ribcage narrows like an air balloon, right? The air coming out now. And inhale. And exhale. Exhale, feel your grounding through the sit bones. And inhale, feel the lengthening of the spine, that pulling up force through the crown of your head. Do one more round like that. Expand your ribs. Good. Last step, we're going to bring one hand to the heart and the other hand on top of that hand, right? So now we're consciously breathing into the chest, and I'm just becoming familiar and actually okay with chest breathing, right? Because chest breathing doesn't always have to be this shallow kind of stressed breath. Chest breathing, because we have this limited space now, we can still make that wide and focused on the heart, which energetically is also a beautiful thing, right? Because this is your heart chakra. Connection, compassion, connection to your baby, right? All symbolized through that chakra. So we're consciously now breathing into the chest. So breathing into your hands. Deep inhale once more. Widening your chest. Little pause at the top. And exhale. Continue with your breathing. And you can count, right, that breath silently for yourself, which is also a great way to focus the breath, right? That counting of the inhales, 2, 3, 4, is a way to really focus yourself and keep the mind focused on that one thing, which means like you're distracting yourself from the stream of thoughts, right? You're keeping yourself focused on the counting. And we're using the hands to really bring that awareness to the spaces in our body that we want to send the breath to. Because without the hands, it's quite difficult to actually really feel that we can send the breath into those areas. And last round. And lower the hands down. Good. I want to introduce one more breath to you, and we can just throughout the practice, you can choose to use that breath, because this is a stabilizing breath. I call it the who breath, because that's kind of like the sound. I just demonstrate it real quick. You inhale through the nose. And through the mouth, maybe you can actually tell, because you're narrowing the passage, right? You're narrowing your lips. That actually extends the breath. Breath becomes longer. The exhalation becomes longer. If the exhalation becomes longer, we activate the relaxation response in the nervous system, right? The quality of this breath is stabilization. So with this breath, it's very mild engagement of your transverse abdominis, right? So for example, if you use this breath on all fours or in a half plank, or when we do opposite leg glides, which we're gonna do to strengthen the back later, there's like a corset wrapping around your belly, but in a very gentle way, right? So that's absolutely okay when you're pregnant. So let's just do 2 rounds like that. You inhale through the nose. Okay, good. We're coming on all fours because everything in the body, and I do feel that a lot because I am naturally very bendy and everybody is different, but even if you're not naturally quite flexible, when you're pregnant you will be, because we have this hormone relaxine kind of shooting through our body, and it just makes everything softer, and the ligaments, and by that the joints less stable. At the moment, for example, me, I feel it in my left hip joint. So you just want to make sure you pad the knees, like you take care of yourself, right? So now really, like whenever I'm on all fours, I really use the blanket. You can use the big fold, Or you can fold that one more time so it's even thicker. Okay, coming onto all fours, spread your fingers wide. The middle finger is reaching forward. Now I have hyperextension in my elbows, so just make sure you micro bend your elbows and slightly pull them toward one another. So really you have integrity, right? Not just in your arms by that, but also in the shoulder girdle. Your knees are under your hips. You can play a little bit with making the hips wider, right? So you always want to just keep room for your belly. And then we're gonna just go into a very slight pelvic tilts, because we don't want to, drop too far into cat-cow because of this phenomenon called rectus diastasis, which means as we have everything softening in the body, also the ligaments between the rectus abdominis are softening, so that can then lead to a split in the abdominal wall when you're pregnant. And therefore we don't want to do strong back bends or engaging the rectus abdominis muscles, right? So we're gonna focus on the pelvis, right? So what you do on the inhale, you gently, slightly reach the sit bones up and back. And the shoulder and the rest of the spine stays calm and quiet. So we're isolating the movement in the pelvis. On your exhale, you tuck the tail, well, you don't really tuck the tailbone. Let's say you lengthen the tailbone, right? Back. So you feel like a lengthening in your lower back. It's a very mild movement. Inhale, reach the sit bones up and back, and exhale, lengthen the tailbone. Good. Okay, and then from here you have the stability, right? Your spine is long, you press the hands and knees into the ground. Also important, pressing the knees into the ground, you automatically get the muscles engaged in the legs and also in the hips and the glutes. And by that, you're not just dropping your belly down, right? And then from here, we're going to do opposite leg glides, which is a back strengthening pose. So you reach the right leg back and keep the toes on the ground, and then you just reach back, come forward, reach back, come forward. Good. Find your center and then reach the right leg up. Now just take a look at your toes and make sure they're all facing down. We want to have a neutral rotation of that thigh. And then the leg doesn't go higher than parallel to the floor, right? So we're not reaching it super high up, just maximum height parallel to the floor. And inhale, reach the heel back. Exhale, press the hands and the left knee down into the ground and the shin. Now, if you want, this is optional, you can add your left arm to it, so this becomes a balancing pose. On the inhales, you reach the right foot away from the left hand. On the exhale, you draw the belly slightly, and this is a great pose for the who breath. Let's do it one round. Inhale. And lower everything down. Good. Now from here, very nice in between pose. You reach the right hip to the right shoulder, and maybe bring the head with you as well, right ear to right shoulder, and then everything over to the left. Inhale, and to the right. Inhale, and to the left. Good. And then we do the other side. First, stretch the left leg back and just feel a mild stretch in your calf. Left side. Good. So now feel into that left leg. It's a neutral rotation. You can check here. If you now just come onto your big toe, open the hip to the side, this is external rotation, right? We don't really want that. So you want to engage your inner left thigh and keep the rotation neutral, and then lift that leg up. press your hands down. Now when you use the who breath here, you can add your right arm. You really want to feel for this visual of you wearing a corset and your transverse abdominis kind of wrapping gently around your belly, right? You're holding your baby in. And lower down. Good. Very nice. And then you can just come into child's pose. And I don't know how that is for you, what your child's pose looks like right now. For me, it's not really comfortable to go like all the way down into child's pose. So what I really love, and this is also a great pose when you're pregnant for birth and for birth preparation, on the knees, and then bringing the elbows down. And here you want to push the knees into the ground so that you're not just hanging completely into your lower back, you see? So press the knees into the ground. It's still relaxing, right? But you're having integrity in your lower back. And then you can add in here some gentle circles. I have my hands clasped together. The elbows here shoulder width apart. And if you just want to have a little bit more, of an inversion actually, right? Which means the head is lower than the heart. You can also here bring your forehead on the ground, more like a puppy dog. Whatever is most comfortable for you. You can also really come into child's pose. Just make sure that your belly has enough room and doesn't feel constricted. Come back onto all fours. We're going to come into a downward facing dog. Right? Microbend the elbows, draw the elbows kind of toward one another like they were magnetic. And then push your hips up and back and come into your downward dog and pedal your feet. It just always feels so good, that pose. Good, and then lift both of your heels up. And lower them down. This is also really good to prevent like water in your feet or viscose veins, right? To activate the vein pump in the legs, right? So when you come up, lift the heels off the ground, engage your thighs, and then lower back down. You can really do this like every day. At least 10 times, 10 repetitions. You can also do it standing. Good. And then look forward to your hands and walk to your hands. Keep your feet wide enough. And now when you come into a forward fold, I do like to have blocks. You can also have books or really anything. But just to not come down all the way. Again, this is just to leave room for the baby, yeah? Good, so this is your forward fold. Let your head hang heavy. Forward fold does not mean that we're not doing anything, right? That we're not engaging. So you still want to press your feet that are probably wider than hip width apart now into the ground, and by that activate your legs. You feel like a slight, like your sit bones are reaching up and back, but you slightly want to tuck the tail so you're engaging your glutes. And then from here, bring your hands onto your thighs and just come into a half lift. Right, so your back is somewhat parallel to the ground, maybe a little further up, but you are definitely still in a forward fold. Your hands are still on your thighs for support, but press your feet into the ground. Reach the crown of the head forward. And now we're using the who breath again. Inhale. And exhale. This gentle wrapping of your baby, right? Your abdominal wall. And inhale. Good. And now we're adding a back strengthening exercise to this, right? So you're reaching, the upper body really stays the way it is, and you maybe already feel this in your glutes and also in your back muscles, the erectors. Reaching the arms out to the side, really trying, right, not to round down, but you really want to kind of keep your spine nice and long here. Think of the crown of your head reaching forward rather than your nose, yeah? So the neck is long. And then keep pressing the feet into the ground. Sit bones are reaching slightly up and back. And then you start to just circle your arms. Spread your fingers and reach the hands away from one another. And then circle the other way. You can go a bit faster now. Good. Now arms stay out to the side. Inhale. Exhale, bring the arms toward one another and reach the fingertips back. Inhale. And exhale. Reach back, back, back. Draw shoulder blades toward one another. Inhale. 2 more. Exhale. Press the feet into the ground. Inhale. Exhale. Bring the hands onto the thighs. Round your spine. And then roll yourself up to standing. So this, it's basically a half lift. That's what it is, right? What we just done. But it's a very, very active one. And it in such a mild way strengthens your core muscles, especially with the who breath and also your back muscles, right? Because you really have to keep your torso in place against gravity. Yeah, and use the strength of your legs to keep that integrity. So definitely great option for strengthening your back. Okay, so now from the front of the mat, we're coming actually into chair pose, and you take a block, and actually we're coming to the wall, because I want to do that on the wall with you first. So you know this seat at the wall, right? Where you lower down, put that block, I take the medium width between your thighs, and you really sit down like you're in a chair. Your knees are hip-width distance apart, and the top part of your hips, top part of like your pelvis and your sacrum, and then the mid back touch the wall, but the lower back actually doesn't touch the wall, right? So just make sure you have those alignment points. Good, and then you're sinking down so that your thighs, they do want to be kind of parallel to the ground, right? And to really make sure we have that leg engagement, strengthening those thighs that we need for birth, use that block, right? Because that really helps you to engage the legs and also the inner thighs. I can already feel it. We're going to add a breath to it, right? So sacrum and top of your pelvis are touching the wall, and the back mid of your rib cage is touching the wall. Arms to the side. Inhale. And on the exhale, you bring the arms up overhead. You can use the who breath here. If not, just use ujjayi breath. Inhale down and exhale. Press the block. Shoulders are relaxed. Press the block and feet into the ground. Good, do one more time. And after your next round, use the hands against the wall to lift yourself back up and take the block out. Whew. Okay. Bring your feet wide on the mat and just do some hip circles now. I think this is just great. It's such a great in-between pose, just to connect. Bring your hands into your belly if you want, and connect to the baby, cradling the baby. Whenever you feel like you're kind of holding tension, flutter your lips or just exhale with an open mouth to relax your jaw. Yeah, relaxing the jaw, by the way, also relaxes the pelvic floor. That's why exhalations with an open mouth and a sound to it, like are so good for birth. Okay. We continue with the thighs. Okay, so you bring the toes out, facing outwards. We're coming into horse pose, or I think a nicer name is goddess pose, as we all feel probably like goddesses now. And you bend the knees, and you want to make sure in this pose that your knees are over your ankles and that your knees are facing the same direction than your toes. So we're not torquing the knee joint. I want to be very, very gentle with our joints and keep them healthy, yeah? Okay, so no like falling inside here, right? You want to press the knees out to the side so they're in line with the toes. Maybe that means also, if your hips are not open enough, you have to just bring the toes further in, yeah? Okay, so find that alignment. And then we move from side to side. For example, this is for me a pose right now where I want to use that breath from the beginning and hold the sides of my ribs. Hello baby, it's just kicking. And just really breathe into my rib cage and feel that expansion. Good. We're going to add a back opening pose to that, eagle pose, and also neck opening. So you're going to bring the right arm over the left and come into your eagle wrap. Bend the knees and sink into your goddess pose. And you want to lift those elbows away from the chest and have the hands in line with the elbows. And if you want to go for more stretch, you're going to bend your head down and look down on your belly. Keep the pose. In your eagle wrap. Right, so take a deep inhale. Feel that expansion in the neck muscles and on the back body, upper back. And exhale, press the feet into the ground. And release. Good. Then from there, lengthen your legs and heel toe the feet together. We're definitely going to do the other side. Okay, come to the front of your mat. Good. We're going to do chair pose. Once more. Feet are hip width distance or wider. Put the block between your legs and press the block. Right, and first in Tadasana, try to just find your neutral standing position, right? Aligning the pelvis over your feet, right, in neutral basically, right? So the back of your pelvis is kind of in a neutral position, right? And you're pressing the block together. Good. And the weight is distributed evenly between your toes and your heels. Right, it's about finding that balance between this posture, where you're in an anterior tilt, and the posterior tilt, which is like that slouching and rounding the spine. Yeah, we want to be in that middle, where our spinal curves are integrated. Good. Inhale, reach the arms up and stretch yourself long. And exhale. Now you sit down into your chair. Feel the weight distributed into your heels and press the block. Now the arms reaching forward and the hips sitting down and back. Inhale. Exhale. Elbows backwards, shoulder blades toward one another. Sit down and back. Inhale. Right, so we're strengthening the thighs and at the same time the muscles in the back. Trapezius, erectors, and also the rhomboids, the muscle between the shoulder blades. And inhale. And exhale. Continue. Now we go for repetitions, yeah? Press the block. And the weight is so much in your heels that you can actually effortlessly lift the toes off the ground if you wanted to, right? Last time. Inhale. Stand up. And exhale. Hands in front of the heart. Good. Take the block out. Bring the block down. I'm going to do little sun salutations. Inhale, reach the arms up. And exhale, coming into your forward fold, supported with the blocks. Inhale into your half lift. You can do the strengthening one with the arms out to the side, holding yourself up on your own. Or for support, hands on the shins or the thighs. And exhale down. Now stepping both legs back, coming into a downward facing dog. Good. And from downward facing dog, we are now going to bring the right leg forward. We're going to do some standing postures. So right leg forward. If it doesn't really work so easily anymore, bring the knees down first and then bring the right foot forward, and then you come up again, coming into a lunge, a high lunge. So the back heel is lifted, front knee is bent, and we want to have the knee over the ankle. Again, it's a very important alignment point. And then here you want to just integrate the sacrum, so you want to stabilize your hips, your pelvis. So the sacrum is slightly drawing into the pelvis, right? Good. Arms go out to the side, palms are facing forward. And we're going to reach that left knee toward the ground. And then lengthen the left leg. And bend the left knee. And lengthen. And exhale. And inhale. And feel all of the 5 toes of that back foot on the ground. And bend, exhale. And inhale. Good. Now staying here. And you want to feel for an isometric stretch, right? So you're reaching that right knee away from the left knee or from the left foot, right? So you create more length in that left hip flexor. Inhale the arms up, and what I really enjoy a lot right now is a side bend here. You can also, if balance is off, bring that left knee on the ground. Maybe use a padding, as I indicated before, and then go into that side bend. If you want the more challenging option that you need more balance for, you can stay in the high lunge with the knee lifted above the ground. The right arm reaches down, the left arm reaches up. And you're coming over slightly to the right side. And then come back up. Good. If your knee is lowered, you lift the knee back up. And we're going to open again into our goddess pose, because we're going to do the eagle arms on the other side. So just watch your leg engagement, alignment actually, right? Knees face same direction, then toes, knees over ankles, and then sit yourself down, right? And engage those inner thighs. So sit yourself down, quite good. And then first I like to just move a little bit in this pose, getting to the breath. Okay, lift your torso up, sit yourself low, reach the arms to the side, hands away from one another, left arm over right, find your eagle rep. Can also be a single rep, yeah? Can also be forearms together. Good. And then inhale, reaching the elbows away from the chest, hands are over the elbows in one line. And if you feel you want more of an upper back stretch, bend your head or bow your head down, looking at your belly. And you can still keep that slight movement in your hips. Little circle. And again, you can introduce the who breath here. Introducing that stability into your core on the exhale. But for me, it's not just stability with this breath. For me, it really helps me to refocus on the breath and extend the breath. So it also does bring a calm into challenging poses. And release the arms out to the side. Hands on the thighs, lengthen the legs. Good, heel to the feet together. By the way, this heel toeing is very good for the lower back. Right, it's a very good way to come out of poses. We're going to do the lunge on the other side. So the left leg is forward, right leg is back. Yeah, bit of a different way to get into it. The other side, we got into it from downward dog. Right, so this time, right, a very safe way to get into it. You stand at the front of the mat, you reach the right leg back, and then you're in it. Like versus from downward dog where you have to step the foot forward. Good. Now find your alignment again. All 5 toes of the back foot are on the ground. The heel is lifted. Front knee over the heel. And integrate the sacrum into the pelvis here. Good. Bend the back knee. Arms out to the side. And bend the back knee. And then lengthen. And exhale, bend. And inhale, lengthen. Can also bring the arms into cactus here. And in cactus shape, like just drawing the elbows back. It's a great chest opener. 3 more. You can maybe sink a little bit lower in your lunge. Good. Now you can stay lifted. I'm going to demonstrate this side lifted. Or you can bring that right knee on the ground for more balance. And then come into your side bend. Palms are facing forward. Reach the right arm up. So now the palm is facing to the left side. Left palm is facing to the right. And then you come into the side bend. So you feel for an opening across the entire right side body. It really starts below the hip even. I feel it in my hip flexor here. On the inhale, feel that expansion through your rib cage. Breathe into the sides of the ribs. And come back up. Good. Bring the hands forward. Bring that left foot out to the side so you're not squishing your belly. And lower the right knee down. Bring the left knee backwards. We're coming into child's pose, or the birth preparation pose, as I call it, on the knees. Forearms down on the ground. And relax. Knees still slightly pressing into the ground. And you can cradle your baby here, move the hips from side to side. Good. Okay. Come back onto all fours. And sit on your heels. Good. We're coming into final relaxation. So I do offer Sai Shavasana, right? So I'm going to just guide you through that. If there's any other pose you like to take as a final relaxation, just choose that. I'm going to demonstrate the Sai Shavasana. So I like to use a blanket, and actually you just want to make sure that when you lie on the side that there's like no tilt in your neck, right? So that your nose is kind of like in line with your sternum. So what I need personally is actually a block under my blanket. It's actually comfortable, like, but if it's not for you, like, you know, find the best prop that works for you. And then I will also offer a block for your foot. Maybe uncomfortable, you may not like that, but we want to have the foot higher than the hips, right? So that will help that. And then you're lying down on your side, coming down over your side, very important. You lie on your left side and you reach that left arm through. Place your left side, like your left ear, not really your ear, it's like your head above the ear, on the block. Right, and your shoulders are stacked, left on top of right shoulder, other way around, right on top of left shoulder, right hip on top of left hip. The left leg stays longish, and you place the right knee onto the bolster, and the foot should really easily rest. You shouldn't feel like I have to hold it, right? Easily rest just on the block. That right hand can really go on an extra block, on the bolster, or just on the ground, on the arm. Just feel, where can I actually relax it? Maybe on the belly, yeah. And then here, take a deep, conscious breath. Inhale. And open the mouth, exhale. once more. Inhale. And let it go. And feel your body relaxing, becoming soft. Not holding on to any pose, any idea, any control right now anymore. Not even controlling the breath. We're going to let the technique go. And just allow ourselves to be. It's kind of a bit like floating in space. Floating with your baby. And with every moment and every breath, you feel your body relaxing just a bit more, giving in. And relaxing the jaw, release the tongue away from the roof of the mouth. The lips are slightly opened. And then slowly begin to deepen your breath. And wiggle your fingers and toes. And press your right hand into the ground. Lift that top leg off the props. And lift yourself up. Find a comfortable seat. And slightly bow your head down. Take a look at your belly. And hold your baby. You can silently talk to your baby. Just through the power of touch, right? And then bring your hands together in front of your heart. Namaste.